welcome to my humble abode. Today I'm going to be watching Nick Crowley, Aviloop, YouTube's Darkest Mystery. So we're going to check this out. This has already 3 million views on it, so it must be good. I mean, everything he does is good though, because it gets millions of views. But anyway, I guess this is about like piloting or something, but either way, we're going to watch it. And of course, if you want to watch it without me yapping, go ahead, check out his channel down below in the description. And yeah, with that, let's get to watching. Oh my god, it's 34 minutes long. Woo-wee. It's gonna be a long one, guys.
Okay. August 5th, 2011. A channel appears on YouTube serving as a promotional page for an up-and-coming company called Aviloop, a brand that boasted unbeatable deals in the world of aviation. That same day, 4 videos were uploaded, each showcasing young women dressed as flight attendants, detailing some of the many services that Aviloop provided. It
just seems like kind of like spooky, but I think it's just because of the way he puts his like sounds and then like dark whatever. What is it called, dude? Like an overlay or whatever.
Be the only videos ever uploaded to the channel, as from that moment on, the page was abandoned, giving Aviloop a lifespan of just 1 day. The 1 day is all it would take to set in motion a mystery that remains unsolved to this very day. A mystery surrounding the company at the core of this channel and the services that it allegedly provided, with no one being able to answer the seemingly simple question, what was Aviloop?
I mean, it does look like a flight thingamabob, like a plane service, but like a 1 day. Like, how much bad stuff could this get into in 1 day? And how many views did, I guess, their video get? And why did it get taken down? These are the questions we have.
And the more you search for answers, the more deranged this trail becomes. This is the story of Aviloop, YouTube's darkest mystery.
Okay.
And there's no catch.
Bing bong.
So what are you waiting for, Captain?
Welcome to Aviloop, your collective find website for anything aviation.
The formula for Aviloop's content was simple. A young woman stands in front of a static white background dressed in a flight attendant's outfit. They refer to themselves as deal attendants, and their job seems to be sharing information about this new brand, Aviloop.
We offer deals on flight lessons, pilot accessories, fuel, FBO services, charter flights, and even small aircraft. You don't see that very often.
The brand marketed a number of unique aviation-related services, making them appear as a one-stop shop for anyone in the industry or just anyone interested in flying. Aviloop claimed to do it all, and at unbeatable prices too.
Our deals are usually 50 to 90% off.
Promoting deals of 50 to 90% off. It hardly seems like
50 to 90% off fuel in any aviation thing. Like, how can they even stand to be in business unless that's why they were only like 1 day on YouTube, because they ran out of fucking money and all their stuff. That's not like a actual business model one can run on, right? That would like run you into the ground, considering aviation is very expensive.
Just your standard subpar ad from the early 2010s. But the more you watch, the less clear it becomes what exactly Aviloop did. They left their business incredibly vague. There were no prices, no locations, and rather they just listed a bunch of flying buzzwords, offered at deals that seemed impossible. For example, they list fuel supply among their offerings, but how are they actually getting the fuel and providing it at 50 to 90% off? And where in the country or even the world are they offering it? It just doesn't seem realistic. What they're saying sounds fine on the surface, but the more you think about it, the less sense it really makes. It just seems too good to be true, not to mention how bizarre it is that
well, if it seems too good to be true, then it most likely is too good to be true. So like, you know, you kind of gotta weigh your options on that. But was this all just like a hoax? Could this just be like a hoax though? Like someone was like, yeah, check out our website and it's just gonna be a full-on scam.
This unknown company could come in and offer literally anything you could want that's flying related, with such exorbitant deals. Admittedly though, this is easy enough to ignore and play off as an ineffective or even deceitful advertisement. But there was something else that was much harder to ignore about these commercials. With that being, the deal attendants themselves. Despite Aviloop claiming to be a professional aviation business, it's difficult not to notice how cheap these women's outfits appear. They're clearly costumes rather than real flight attendant uniforms, and they're clearly over-sexualized too. They're essentially dressed as fetishized versions of actual flight attendants, which is bizarre as one of the
I don't think they're sexualized in that sense, because they would be wearing a lot less clothing if it were that, but they are definitely cheap and they do look fake as fuck. Flight attendant outfit, whatever. I mean, it just looks like a crapola Halloween costume of a flight attendant. I mean, that's what it looks like, right?
Services
Just
that
a Halloween
Aviloop claims to
costume.
provide is staffing for flight crews, which would include actual flight attendants. Yet, for whatever reason, they chose to dress these girls in seductive costumes. If they were trying to make these advertisements look professional, they were failing miserably. And it wasn't only the outfits that had a strange sexual undertone to
I mean,
them.
it just looks cheap.
It was also the script that
Not
the girls
sexual.
were reading.
That's weird.
Whether you want to learn to fly, charter an airplane, or just see more girls like me, or to see more girls like me, Aviloop can help. Aviloop can help. So what are you waiting for, Captain? And remember Top Gun? Clearly your attractiveness increases with every flight under your belt.
Bizarrely, the videos themselves were filled with sexual innuendos.
Anyone who
What?
claims that humans were not meant to fly never experienced the thrill of their own successful landing. Get ready to fly big boy airplanes.
They were clearly trying to be more than a little
Get ready to fly big boy airplanes. Ugh. Why was that even in the script? What the fuck? Ugh. That should like immediately
flirty,
already
which
put
goes
someone
hand in
off.
hand with the outfits that they
What
were
the fuck?
donning. Now, some might argue that this was a sign of the times. In 2011, edgy and over-sexualized marketing was still very much in the norm, with several major companies building their entire
Oh, I
brands
forgot
around
the
approach.
GoDaddy.
But the only problem here is that the videos made it unclear what Aviloop was even supposed to be
That was a
offering.
thing.
Despite saying a lot, the lack of details made it entirely ineffective. Like the business itself was an afterthought, with the focus instead being on these women. In fact, even in the channel's description, they simply wrote, "Meet Aviloop deal attendants." This is the official page for a brand
Why are they called deal attendants and not flight attendants? What is the
new
deal
company
here?
trying to promote its services. And that's all they had to say. That's how they marketed their entire company. Making some wonder what was actually the role of these deal attendants.
Weird.
And what was actually the purpose of Aviloop. The first and most likely theory at this point is that Aviloop was an overambitious company that used over-sexualized marketing to build intrigue around its brand, at a time when others were doing the same thing to great success. Maybe they weren't
I mean, if it was going to be like an over-sexualized thing, they already got it wrong, considering the outfit's not even that sexual like we went over before. So like they already
even off the
failed
ground yet, and
on that
over-promising on
premise, I
services
guess.
that they hoped to one day be able to provide. But for the time being, we're just throwing out there to get more people to visit their website. But with such a focus on these deal attendants, and just how strange these videos come across, some were left with a different theory, that rather than Aviloop using sex to sell their service, maybe sex was their service. The theory goes that Aviloop was a front for pornography or even
Maybe.
prostitution, poorly hidden under the guise of this fake aeronautics
Oh.
company. This would explain the prominence of these deal attendants, as they
That'd be bad.
themselves may have been the actresses or prostitutes. And it also explains the lack of information about the company itself, as the reason their deals and services don't seem to make any sense was because they weren't actually offering them. It was all just a cover-up. And honestly, just going off the eye test, this is how the page comes across. But there are other details that make this theory a lot more compelling. For starters, in numerous videos they mention an unusual feature of their website, that users can vote for their favorite deal attendant and win prizes as a result.
You can even vote for your favorite deal attendant and win special prizes.
With one of these special prizes later being revealed to be a one-on-one video call with one of these deal attendants. This shows that
That is weird. That definitely has nothing to do with aviation or flying. That's definitely a bit strange. Could definitely be sexual, or someone might be just wanting someone to talk to. But is that really what they're gonna go on a call
the deal
for?
attendants weren't just for
Probably
marketing.
not.
They were a core part of the services offered to Aviloop users, making one wonder what was actually happening on those video calls, and was it perhaps something sexual? And it goes even deeper than that, as
probably
there's a reason
something
why
bad.
I mentioned prostitution specifically in this theory, with that reason being a line mentioned in one of these videos.
To purchase this deal, you must hold at least a private pilot license and a current medical certificate. Don't miss out and click on that big blue button. You know you want to.
The deal attendant mentions that all customers needed to provide an up-to-date medical certificate. Now, this isn't something that's necessarily unheard of in the aviation world, but it certainly
Why?
isn't the norm, at least from what I could tell. But in the context of this
Yeah, what
theory,
the fuck?
it makes
Why?
perfect sense. If they truly were operating some sort of prostitution ring, then their customers having an up-to-date medical certificate would be imperative to preventing the spread of STDs.
Oh, they don't want anyone to like spread, like he said, STDs or like HIV or AIDS or whatever. I guess that would make a lot more sense. Wow, that's
It's strange
disturbing.
enough to make this theory
What the
feel
frick?
legitimately possible. But even if it wasn't true, it seems obvious that there was something off with this channel. And we haven't even discussed the strangest part of it all. In a few videos, you can hear
What is it?
unusual sounds in the background.
And you want to add multi-engine to your Pretty Green license, this is your opportunity to do it at 50% off. Add multi-engine
Wait.
to your Pretty Green license, this is your opportunity to your Pretty
What the
Green
fuck was that?
license. This is
In the background, you can hear what appears to be
is
someone
that what that was?
moaning in a blatantly sexual manner.
this
Which was loud enough for even the deal attendant
But that's what it sounded like. Ew. Like let's just hope that wasn't an actual like moan. That definitely sounded fake.
to take
Whatever the
notice.
fuck that was.
It's
I don't
very
know.
unusual, and certainly not a sound that could just accidentally happen on a typical film set.
Which makes it all the stranger that another inexplicable
Yeah.
noise was heard in the background of a different video. And this one left viewers far more distressed.
You want to learn to fly, charter an airplane,
For what?
or to see more girls like me? Aviloop can help. Or to see more girls like me?
Oh, I heard that.
Aviloop can help. Or to see more girls like me? Aviloop can help.
Some
It
believe
sounds
that
like
this
he's
is yet
screaming.
another sexual moan, while others swear they can hear a specific
That
word.
is fucking weird.
The word, help.
I don't know if I hear the word help, but I just hear him screaming. Like, it doesn't sound like any one word, just like, ugh.
It's
like a
incredibly
scream
concerning,
in the background.
especially if this prostitution theory is true. I mean, there's just so many implications to it.
Given the link between prostitution
That is weird though, that is weird that it would be on two different videos that there in the background, but one a man, one a woman.
and human trafficking,
Very strange.
But again, this could all be part of the marketing. Maybe this was all just a ploy to get people to visit their website, roping you in with these sexualized, creepy, and even concerning videos that almost demand that you dig deeper. Well, if this is the case, then surely visiting their website would help put this
Maybe.
mystery to bed. At the time these videos were uploaded back in 2011,
Doubtful,
those visiting the Aviloop website would be met with a rather lackluster experience. The homepage was dull and uninviting, and seemed about as vague as the videos promoting it. However, they did have an About section that attempted to describe the
that's boring
service
as
more in
shit.
depth. There, they mentioned that the primary goal of Aviloop was safety, as they believed that making training and other aeronautic services more accessible could in turn help prevent accidents, which strangely was never even hinted at in their videos, and is never
Is that code for something? Is that code for something
mentioned again on
sexual,
any
maybe?
other portion of the website. But it was in this About tab that they listed even more services that they claimed to provide. Services like navigation equipment, headsets, and pilot vacations, among many other things. Basically anything even remotely related to flying, they sold it, or at least claimed to. And they insisted that they did so cheaper than anywhere else, by using collective bargaining, a process that they would go into greater detail about. Basically, Aviloop acts as a third party, partnering with aviation businesses to promote unique deals on their site. Each of these deals has a quota that must be hit for it to actually go through. So if enough people buy the deal, the quota is reached and everyone gets a voucher to do or receive whatever they paid for. But if the deal doesn't reach its quota, then everyone is refunded and the deal is voided without any cost to the users or the business. Aviloop was the middleman, which could explain how they managed to offer such impressive deals and such diverse services. Though again, this is just what they were saying, begging the question,
That's
was
so
anything
weird, I don't
actually
know.
being sold on Aviloop.com?
Let's take a guess. Let's take a wild guess. Will it be yes? Will it be no? Probably no. Because I doubt they would be able to sell, especially all the, I mean, look at these already. Like the prices are so cheap.
Well, there actually was.
Ain't no way.
The
Ain't no
deals
way.
were
Ain't
sorted
no
by
way.
general locations, and most consisted of flying lessons, museum trips, or even temporary tattoos. However, there was something unusual about these listings. Bizarrely, almost every
Why
deal
the
on the
fuck would they
site
sell
was marked as
temporary
completed,
tattoos?
each having ended in 1969. which obviously was impossible. There were only a select few deals throughout the entire
What?
website's history that were ever even active. And even then, there didn't seem to be a way to actually purchase them.
Oh, you know what? 1969. That could be another hint that it is something not flying related.
This end date of 1969 was either some sort of glitch, or it was intentionally set that way, as the year just so happens to be yet another sexual
That's what I thought.
innuendo. So what should prove the company's legitimacy
Exactly.
actually
That's what I
only
said.
makes this company seem more suspicious. It was like they were trying to make it appear as if they were selling all these different things, yet in reality they were hardly offering anything, and what they were offering wasn't even available for purchase. This set me on a hunt trying to find any sort of testimonials
Exactly.
or reviews from any Aviloop customers, but strangely, I couldn't find a single one. In fact, the only proof that I could find that anyone actually used the service was an Aviloop patch that I found floating around on eBay. And the only reason that this is at all significant is that these badges were included in most of the offers on the website. But this isn't substantial in any way, shape, or form, and it's clear that the seller wasn't actually a customer and was instead a patch collector that must have somehow obtained it, making me question if anyone actually ever bought something from this website,
How?
and if this whole marketplace was really just a ploy.
Oh, they definitely haven't.
Which takes us back to that lingering theory.
But if it's just a ploy, how do they get people, like, where is the click button to go to their actual website to sell their services?
Just like the
You know what I
Aviloop
mean?
channel, the website featured these deal
How do they
attendants.
get people to go
And
there?
just like the channel, they seemed to be the primary focus. Their involvement was plastered all over the website, with the whole business model appearing to hinge on their involvement, which the site was not afraid to outwardly admit. What is the first thing you look for on our deal pages? We understand. Go ahead, check out our deal attendants. They sure are stunning. Vote for your favorite deal attendant for a chance to win a one-on-one VIP video chat with one of the girls. You will find our models are not only beautiful, but also fun and interesting to talk to. Just have fun. Feel free to bask in the glory of your win and be the envy of your friends.
Models.
After all,
So
not
they're not
everyone gets to
attendants
brag
anymore.
about video chatting with supermodels. The process of voting for the best
Interesting.
deal attendant was something that they heavily pushed, going as far as to reward one voter each week with the aforementioned private video call. And when discussing these calls, they not so subtly hinted that they weren't just ordinary video chats, writing, "You will be talking to real successful fashion models with exciting backgrounds. Many are big aviation fans, so you will have a
Oh,
lot to
real
talk
ones. Real
about.
ones.
You never know. Vote, win, chat. You never know."
The allusion to sex was way more prevalent on the site than even on the channel.
With this line seeming to hint that winning these video calls could entail some sort of sexual encounter with the deal attendant, which only seems to bolster this theory even more. But unlike the channel, here we're at
okay.
least given a bit more context as to why these women or deal attendants are being used. And according to the site, it wasn't as sinister as it seems. Under the business section, which is used as an FAQ for companies wanting to promote their deals on Aviloop, they wrote, "What is the deal with deal attendants? As a business, you have the option to include a professional
is it?
video of one of our stunning models on your deal page for a flat fee. She will deliver a 30 to 60 second message describing your promotion. Our deal attendants are real professional models who work for high-end clients. Why should I include a deal attendant? Although our promotions get a lot of exposure, adding a deal attendant has the potential of making it viral on social media sites. Promotions that include a video tend to be extra successful." There's a lot to unpack here. For starters, this explains how
Why would you
Aviloop
want
makes
that,
their
though?
money. They're basically charging companies to run ads using these deal attendants, and the videos on their channel are examples of what these ads would look like. Though calling them professional is extremely generous, and I can't imagine any companies actually wanting to use
Yeah.
this service.
It's definitely not professional.
And given that these are the only
whatsoever.
videos that they shared, I don't think many, if any, actually did. But in this explanation, Aviloop is all but admitting to using these deal attendants to rope people into visiting their website, over-sexualizing them to lure in perverted internet users, giving them false hope that they'd be able to interact with these women
Ew.
and maybe even sleep with them. And in exchange, these users keep coming back to the site
Ew,
under
what
this
the
false
fuck?
hope, which maybe could lead to them purchasing something. It's an insane business model, and one that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, they're claiming that this
That
is a
is- that
service
is
for
weird.
professionals and real aviation fans, for the primary reason of making our skies safer, yet they aren't actually offering anything but the prospect of talking to women. These women are the main and really only draw of the service, and even the deals that they did list seem to contradict the primary goal of this company. I mean, how would a trip to the museum help with aviation safety? And how would a temporary tattoo help with that either? And on the topic of these tattoos, they're also extremely sexual in nature. They were meant to mimic pilot stripes and be put on your shirtless shoulders, with a package reading, when a uniform just won't do.
Ugh. What kind of loser would want these kind of tattoos? They're so fucking ugly, and it's without your shirt, and you're not even a fucking pilot. Like, dude, like, that's just fucking stupid, bro. Genuinely, like, anyone who gets these fake tattoos
And the description
is a
adding all
loser.
sorts of
Like,
innuendos.
let's be real.
And this is a good time to point out just how strange the writing is across the entire website. As here they write,
What better way to thank a pilot than by saying, "Captain, you deserve to have your epaulets tattooed. We wish someone had these on board of the Miracle on the Hudson flight." Just imagine the
Ew.
look on the pilot's face if someone handed these to him. So why not keep a pair in your wallet and thank the Sully in your life for the next flight? Every safe
I honestly hope he would be fucking
landing deserves
disgusted.
recognition, and this gift is sure to
Genuinely.
make their day.
everything is written like this. It's not only sexual, it's also nonsensical, and feels like it was written by AI at a time when AI wasn't
Yeah, that's
even a
weird.
thing.
Everything about Aviloop feels
Or was it?
wrong. The lack of any tangible goods and services, the overly convoluted business structure, and the lack of any public customers just makes this company appear so fake. But that doesn't inherently mean that they were actually
Yeah.
involved in pornography or prostitution. I mean, despite all these innuendos, there is no direct mention of the sale of sex anywhere on the website from what I could see. And unfortunately, much of the website is lost to time, as in 2016 the site would go down, replaced by another random URL, making it impossible to know what this platform was actually like for those who signed up for it. What were they actually being offered? What were they discussing amongst themselves? And what happened on these video calls? It's all unknown, as what I've shown is pretty much all I was able to salvage from the Wayback Machine. However, Aviloop didn't stay down forever.
Dang, that sucks.
In 2019, Aviloop.com re-emerged, only this time it looked very different.
Oh.
Gone were
1 year before the virus and the shutdown. That's very...
the deals,
That is
the
kinda
business
telling,
model,
actually.
and
That's-
most importantly,
is that
the
a
deal
coincidence?
attendance. And in its place was what looked to be a generic template website. They still claimed to offer some of their services, but they were now left even more vague, and there was no attempt to even make it look like you could purchase anything. Even the innuendos were gone. It was quite literally as bare bones as it gets, and comes across like a sham website, void of any notable information, with one exception. There was a single new addition to the site, as at the very bottom you could find a short bio, not of a deal attendant, but of a legitimate pilot named Nadia Marinko, the creator of Aviloop. This revelation is huge, as Nadia Marinko was a well-known and extremely successful pilot, which makes Aviloop all the more confusing, as you would think that her involvement in the company would help legitimize it, and make it seem
Never
more
heard of
likely
her.
that Aviloop was a real company after all. But instead, it actually did the exact opposite, as her involvement plunges this mystery into a whole new depth, a depth far darker than we've yet to discuss.
Why?
Born in
is she?
Czechoslovakia
Who
in
is she?
1986, Nadia dedicated her younger years to modeling, landing multiple high-profile roles in her country. And by the age of just 15, these roles led to her being moved to the United States to help continue this budding career. But by 20, her interest had shifted to a different kind of runway.
Alright.
She became obsessed with flying and had a natural talent for it too, quickly rising through the ranks and gaining certifications faster than most others could at that age. By 25, she was considered extremely accomplished for someone so young, and her resume
25 and you're already like this much of a seasoned, amazing pilot? That doesn't seem...
would soon reach a wider audience
I don't know,
when
that
she
just
began
doesn't seem
leveraging
right.
social media.
Some fishy's going on there.
She posted videos under the alias Gulfstream Girl, and eventually Global Girl, where she marketed herself as a supermodel turned pilot, which worked to the tune of millions of views. Nadia Marinko was a star in the aviation world and on social media too, and it was during the height of this success that she started Aviloop. It clearly wasn't meant to be some big secret either. She actively promoted it on numerous occasions, doing interviews on podcasts and even
That's
taking
weird.
it to a trade show. If this was a front for something nefarious, she was doing a bad job of keeping it discreet.
But why?
Which seems to back up our first theory. And it would be very easy to settle on that theory and just call it a day, had being a model and a pilot been all that Nadia was known for. You see, there was
What is she
something that
known
she was
for? I don't
hiding
know.
from her audience, a secret in the form of a bond with one man whom she was working closely with at the time that Aviloop was launched. A man by the name
Oh.
of Jeffrey
shit.
Epstein.
Bruh, how is this asshole everywhere? Dude is fucking everywhere, dude. Generally, he is everywhere. He knows everyone. But like, why is she in cahoots with him though? Like, why would she actively be with a disgusting loser like him? I don't get it. I don't get it. But you know what? That would make sense as to why she was rising so fast in the pilot program. All because of this motherfucker. Not because of her skill, but because of this motherfucker right here. This douchebag here.
Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested on new sex trafficking charges.
Charges of soliciting and
Horrible.
procuring minors for prostitution.
He was involved in trafficking young women and children over to Little St. James.
In case you're somehow unaware, Jeffrey Epstein is the most prolific pedophile and human trafficker maybe of all time. He carried out a large-scale human trafficking operation, bringing children to his private island that he and other elites exploited in horrific ways. It's one of the biggest news stories of my lifetime, and over the past years there's been so much talk surrounding the acquaintances of Epstein, who is connected with him, and how close were they. But of all these people in Epstein's circle, few, if any, were closer to him than Nadia Marenko. It's a difficult subject to discuss,
at this point it
but
seems like he
Nadia
knew
is
everybody.
considered one of Epstein's victims. He found her through her modeling job when she was just a teenager.
And she didn't just come to the United States for work. Epstein himself brought her, after allegedly purchasing her from her father.
Whoa. I'm sorry. What? Her father sold her to Epstein? Bruh, that's no father. He's just a fucking demon. He's not a person, he's a fucking demon, he's no father, he's just a weak loser. That's all he is. No actual father would sell their daughters. Period. Alright, you would have to first sell yourself before you sell your fucking children.
What followed was
That's fucking
Nadia
disgusting.
becoming his
Like, what the
self-described
frick?
sex slave. It's a horrible and unimaginable
Damn.
fate. But while Nadia appeared to have been a victim of Epstein, that wasn't all she was, as after becoming an adult, she also became Epstein's accomplice. When Epstein was first investigated by the
what?
FBI back in the 2000s, many of his victims came forward and claimed that Nadia was not only present for their abuse, but she was a willing participant, there to satisfy Epstein's criminal sexual
Ew.
desires by, on occasion, directly participating in sexual abuse and prostitution of the minor girl.
Bruh. I was about to say I have some empathy for her because she was bought at such a young age, but like, I have zero empathy for her now. Zero, none whatsoever. Like, I hope she's having a terrible fucking life. Like, when you get older, you should have just walked away, not even helped him, but you chose to help him. So like, you should have zero empathy, or you should get zero empathy from anybody.
Now, Epstein was eventually given a sweetheart deal for these crimes in 2008, which led to him serving just 13 months in prison. And as part of that deal, Nadia was given complete immunity, meaning she never faced any sort of
Dog, that's
repercussions
it?
for her use of children. But despite being a free woman by the time that
Ugh.
Epstein was thrown in jail, she stood by his side, living in his New York City home, waiting for his release. And while he was behind bars, Nadia would visit him roughly 70 times. These two were deeply connected,
70 times
even well
in
after
13
she
months.
was his slave, with Nadia even making a scrapbook for
Ew.
Epstein, which is just so terrifying that I had to at least mention it in this video.
Gross.
It would be several years later in 2012, a time when Nadia had long since left Epstein's home and his control,
That Nadia would rejoin his operation. This
Rejoin his operation when, girl, you were gone. You had nothing to do with him anymore, you were gone. And you decided to rejoin him? Like, I hope you get put into a mental asylum forever, girl. Cause like, something's wrong with you. Clearly. No, you're a demon.
time
You
with
are
a
also a
brand new
demon,
role.
girl.
she became one of Epstein's pilots, taking victims and perpetrators alike to and from the island, on the plane they dubbed the Lolita Express.
Yep.
What happened on the Lolita Express?
That's why she got her
Everything
license so
that happened
quickly.
on the Lolita
All right, now
Express
it's all
and his other planes
coming together.
was the same thing that happened in his bedrooms and the massage rooms. The abuse did not stop because we're in the air. Jeffrey couldn't take a 2-hour flight without having to ejaculate. Like, that's how sick this man was.
That, yeah.
Nadia
That's
Marenko was
concerning.
directly
That's very
trafficking
concerning.
children for Epstein.
What the fuck?
And she was doing this in 2012, mere months after she started Aviloop. Which brings us to our third and most upsetting theory. That Aviloop wasn't a cover for prostitution, but rather a front for child trafficking and pedophilia. Nadia's involvement alone and the timing of the company's launch, mixed with all the innuendos, the red flags, it all starts to make sense. And it's made even more disturbing when you look at the videos they posted on YouTube.
Jesus Christ.
As one thing I failed to mention so far is just how young these deal attendants look. There's obviously no way to conclusively determine their age from the footage, but some believe that they look to be teenagers,
they don't look that young.
Maybe even underaged, which would make sense for...
There's no way. There's no way any of these three are underage at all. They look like they're older. I don't think they were underage, but...
This theory, as the deal attendants wouldn't be prostitutes, but rather child victims. It's a theory that has to be considered. I mean, as crazy as it seems, Aviloop was quite literally founded and run by a child trafficker who was actively trafficking children when the company started.
I mean, that's
and
true.
Nadia wasn't the only sketchy character involved in the site behind the scenes.
Epstein himself was as well. The two frequently emailed each other, and in multiple instances, Aviloop was discussed, with Epstein frequently giving her advice. In one email, he wrote to her, "Website is cool, mix of porn, Groupon, and flying. The marketing campaign could be, buy with us, we give a flying fuck." His mentioning of porn here is just more confirmation that Aviloop wasn't just an aviation company. But this also shows that Epstein was helping with the company, and he wasn't just doing this through friendly advice.
Yeah.
Throughout his emails, you can also find dozens of receipts from transactions with Aviloop, totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars of payments sent directly to the company. Jeffrey Epstein was an investor in Aviloop, and a big one too, and he seemed to believe in the service so much that he even appeared—
Ew, hold on. Are you guys seeing this like pink stuff like right here? What is wrong with his like lip and face? Like, did he catch something? Does he have something? All right, do we even, I guess, have to ask that question? He probably does have something, but ugh, like this is a face of a demon, bro. Generally.
And he seemed to believe in the service so much that he even appeared to use it himself, as emails show him inquiring about booking flights through the company. Nadia at one point even offered to help Epstein through Aviloop, writing, "Is there anything I can do for you? I can find a deal through Aviloop on anything you want. Airplanes, helicopters, cheapest charters, discounted fuel, or a new model/assistant." She's literally offering Jeffrey Epstein a model through Aviloop, which more than hints at this theory being possible. I mean, she spells it out. And if they were in fact trafficking children through this service, this could give us a blueprint to how they were able to get their victims. Maybe they were finding models and having them fly out under the assumption that modeling is all they would be doing. Maybe these videos were even their tryouts for their roles.
Oh, that'd be fucked.
Which they did without even realizing what was to come. I mean, these women were referred to as models on the Aviloop website. And remember, modeling is exactly how Epstein found Nadia. And it's also how he found so many other victims, as he was known to use the modeling industry as a means of recruiting young and underage women, offering them high-paying jobs and potentially career-making opportunities, in order to lure them in. So maybe this was all part of the
Bro, that's just so fucking scummy and disgusting. Like, ugh. Like, how can, like, I want to say, how can any normal person, like, think of that stuff and, like, actually do it? But the thing is, no normal person would, right? These aren't normal people. They have mental issues.
Clearly. Or maybe Nadia was simply taking a page from his book and using the same style of entrapment that he used on her. It's so disturbing to even consider. And there's one more email that I believe is the most disturbing of all, that could allude to their alleged trafficking.
Disgusting.
An email with the subject line, "Old Terry Coconuts. I ordered sweet young coconuts from Thailand for you, and they just arrived. Very yummy. I was going to ship them to you in Paris, but I hear you are coming back, so I will send them to 71st with Sarah, just so you don't have to drink juices from Old Terry things." Okay,
so we know that Epstein used a lot of food innuendos, or not innuendos, but like food as like code words for things, right? What could coconuts mean? What do coconuts mean in this sense? What is that a code word for? It's clearly a person, but what kind of person?
Epstein was notorious for using code words in his messages, and it's not hard to see what Nadia may have meant by sweet young coconuts. So was it a joke, or was it a coded message?
What does that mean?
It's hard to say. But this email was sent on November 13th, 2011, just 2 months after the launch of Aviloop.
Welcome to Aviloop, your collective buying website for anything aviation.
So what was Aviloop? Well, to this day, we still don't have a true answer, but everyone has their theories, and most of them are not good. Many legitimately believe that Aviloop was a front for child trafficking, and I can see why. The connections and the strange material on the website and the channel make this impossible to write off as just some crazy conspiracy theory. And if this theory were to be believed, it makes the Aviloop YouTube channel that much more disturbing, as these videos would be advertisements for a human trafficking service that potentially included the victims as the stars.
It's also possible that this was a hub for prostitution, and while sex work doesn't always mean human trafficking, just given the players involved, that would definitely still be a concern. There's also still the possibility that Aviloop was secretly a porn website, like Epstein seemed to suggest in his email, with this content perhaps occurring on those one-on-one video calls. And there was one email that I found that was sent from Epstein's assistant, Story Cowles, that makes this feel even more believable, as Epstein asks him what he was up to which Story responds, "Just playing online at Aviloop. Pouring rain. Love it, love it." The way these people communicate is just so weird and hard to decipher, but playing online at Aviloop certainly seems to suggest that this wasn't just a typical daily deals website. And if porn really was the draw, I think given the secrecy of it and the people connected, I would still be very concerned about where they were getting these actresses, and if they were even of age. Nadia's legal team has pushed back on these theories, claiming she was merely Epstein's victim and nothing more, and someone who allegedly worked at Aviloop claimed that the ad campaign was merely meant to be provocative. And that's all. This just feels so hard to believe. And regardless of which, if any of these theories are true, it seems so obvious to me that Aviloop was never meant to just be a normal company. I even question if perhaps Nadia had created Aviloop as a fake website, which Epstein could then funnel money into in order to make it look like Nadia was earning legitimate income, something that she needed to prove in order to get her US visa, which her emails to Epstein show she was clearly struggling with. And she seemed to—
This is probably one of the reasons why she stayed with him for so long, dude. That and she's mentally unwell. She's unfit to be in the public. She needs to be locked up too. I'm just saying. But I do hope
allude
she
to this at least
never
being
got
part of her
green
reasoning
card.
for creating Aviloop in the first place, and part of the reason why she was asking Epstein for money. And ultimately, the only way she ended up getting that visa was through a deal that she made with the FBI that involved her informing them on Epstein's crimes.
They should have just sent her back to where
Her
the
work
fuck she
directly
came from.
helped lead to his 2019
hell?
arrest, and his ultimate death inside his jail cell that same year.
And it was around the same time that Aviloop went back online with its fresh, scrubbed look, void of anything even close to being sexual. And since then, it's never been updated again. And there's hardly been any updates from Nadia herself either. She made a brief appearance in a 2019 YouTube video where she pulled a prank on a flying instructor, acting as an inexperienced student only to surprise the instructor with how skilled she was, with Nadia going as far as to dress as a child.
That was actually my thought. I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to I don't want to say anything that was weird or that anyone else didn't think about, but with the whole pigtails and looking so innocent, I don't know anything. Girl, you could have dressed up as a fucking billionaire heiress and still been ditzy. Instead, you had to go and look
But
like
since
a fucking
then, her
little
trail
girl.
goes pretty much cold, and once the Epstein files started releasing around 2024, she disappeared from the public eye. Bizarrely, from that point on,
She's probably
the
living
only
on a
trace of her
fucking-
seems
a
to have
fucking
come from
island.
images and videos from a monastery, which she seems to have joined. Nadia Mariko's work with the FBI and the immunity that she was given all those years ago makes it feel unlikely that she'll ever be prosecuted, or even investigated for whatever this whole operation was. The reality, though, is that
That's
we
such
don't know the
bullshit.
full truth about Aviloop, and it's involved in one of the most twisted and deep rabbit holes in human history. A rabbit hole filled with so many layers and cover-ups and corruption that I just hope that somewhere within all of it, we can eventually find an answer to the question, what was Aviloop? But until then, it will remain one of the darkest mysteries, not only on YouTube, but across the entire internet.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey guys, I actually have a super last minute update here. I'd completely finished this video, but there was something that was still bothering me. The question of who were these deal attendants. I initially tried looking for information that could give us an ID, but everything was just wild speculation. But I decided to give it one last look, and I'm glad that I did because I actually think I identified two of them. I found an article that reported one of them as being a woman named Shannon Cusack, which explained that Shannon was actually a friend and maybe even roommate of Nadia at the time that she was starting up Aviloop, and at the time of filming this ad, she was actually in her mid-20s. It seems like she might have just been helping Nadia out at the time with this. She even listed the job on her LinkedIn supposedly,
way older
though it's
than
now
that.
since been removed. The other deal attendant that I might have found was Ashley,
Well,
and it was
at least
actually
she
thanks to a
removed it from
YouTube
her
comment.
LinkedIn.
And what's interesting about her was that she was a model, but she was also in her mid-20s around the time of filming this. And based on her blog, she continued to have a normal modeling career and seemingly normal life after her time working with Aviloop, before she sadly passed away from cancer. And from what I've seen, there isn't much to hint that she was ever a victim of anything Epstein-related. This is huge because a lot of people were falsely claiming that this girl was Ashley Martinez, a missing girl whose family is still searching for her to this day. But this doesn't appear to be the case.
Oh, damn.
The only deal attendant that I wasn't able to ID
That's
was
sad.
Claire, who does happen to look the youngest. But knowing now that these other women were of age, I feel more inclined to believe that maybe the women shown on the channel weren't actually victims of the operation, or at the very least, they weren't children. But obviously I can't say this for certain. And that's not to say that that wasn't happening behind the scenes, of
I mean,
course.
she gotta be in
This
her
just adds another
early
layer to
20s,
this mystery.
At least. All right, well, that was the Aviloop, YouTube's Darkest Mysteries by Nick Crowley. That was intense. I gotta say, that was, wow. Who knew that a stupid, ugly-ass looking website and a one-day YouTube channel could lead to all this? Especially with all the, like, speculation and stuff. That is, I don't know, that's wild. That's wild and disturbing, obviously. Very disturbing and bad. Holy crap. Anyway, I already gave my thoughts on all this. It's mind-boggling, but like for every Aviloop website, you know there's bound to be like hundreds more that are fake websites to like get prostitution or even sex trafficking of any kind. Y'all be careful out there, all right? Be careful. Do not trust anybody. Do not meet with anybody, all right? Do a very deep dive on the people you're going to meet for business, especially in the modeling industry. But all right, with that, let me know down in the comments below what you all thought of this video. And yeah, hopefully you liked it. And with that, like it, dislike it, but at least subscribe.